we are driving through, oh, hi, by the way. Hey, bestie. Welcome to your FaceTime call of the day, or your second FaceTime call of the day. We are driving through Royalton, Minnesota, which pretty much anybody who has to go up north, no matter which kind of up north they're going to, they have to drive through Royalton. And everybody knows Royalton because it has this Treasures Antiques store that has like a big pirate out front. Excuse the train. The train is jealous. The train is like, hey bestie, I want to say hi too. I want to say hi to the vlog. It's okay, they should be done honking now. But yeah, Royalton is just this really small little town, and it's cute. I never stopped there, but I've driven through it since I was 9 days old. So that's the first time I ever went to my cabin up north. I was 9 days old, fresh out the hospital, and I still had my 12 fingers, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I was born with 6 fingers on each hand. Those little bumps are not warts, they are not birthmarks, they are simply where my other fingers used to be. I was born with little extra fingers attached kind of to my pinky, they had little nails on them, but they weren't like functional fingers. They didn't have bones or anything. They had blood and all of that, but they didn't have any bones. So that's always what I tell people when I go to parties and they're like, oh, tell us something about yourself. I was born with 12 fingers. Yeah, apparently it's genetic. Polydactyly is what it's called when you have like multiple fingers. When you have more than 10 fingers, it's called polydactyly. And apparently it's genetic. So yeah, but I don't know anybody in my family who has ever had extra fingers or toes. So very interesting. And they said that it was a very high possibility that with Rose, that she would have either an extra finger or an extra toe or something like that. And so I was kind of expecting it, but then she came out with nothing. I was like, what the hell? Where's your extra stuff? What are you going to tell people on the first day of school every year when you have to go around and say your name and a fun fact about yourself? Like, she did have really crooked feet when she was born. They were like both, because of how she was scrunched into the womb, they were like this. And I remember just being like so scared. I was like, oh my God, what if she can never dance? What if she can never walk normally? What if this is going to be like something she has to deal with for the rest of her life? But it was a super easy fix. Like every time we changed her diaper, we just took her little feet and we stretched them this way. And that's it. We would do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was it. And they just ended up going straight, which doesn't really happen very often these days. But yeah, so she ended up having perfectly normal little feet, perfectly normal, with no extra toes. Very interesting. I also got a request to talk about I asked on Instagram as well, like, hey, what do you guys want to hear about on the vlog? And I got a request to do talking about my labor and delivery. Girl, I could talk about that forever. I could talk about that until the day that I die, and I honestly probably will. But yeah, it's a lot though. And I already did do like a just talking video on my YouTube channel, my main channel. I did a whole video talking about it. I'm crying in the thumbnail. It's all good. And it was called like my traumatic birth experience or something like that. And it was just regular talking, not ASMR. There's nothing relaxing about that video. No, sir. There's nothing relaxing about it. So yeah, but I'm open to talking about it here again, now that it's not such a fresh, deep wound. Yeah, I can like watch labor and delivery on, yeah?
Today can ask me to come over?
Maybe.
Because I don't have my fever anymore.
True. Yeah, Rosie was not feeling well yesterday. She randomly got a fever. It was like a 102 fever. It said I took it under the armpit and it said it was 100.3, and then I looked it up and it said that usually if you take it under the armpit, it's 1 degree lower than it actually is. So yeah, she had like a little fever, and we gave her some baby or kid ibuprofen or whatever it is, and kid Tylenol, I think is what we gave her, and it was gone. 20 minutes later, she was perfectly fine, and she's totally fine now. So very weird, but yeah, she was just really quiet and really tired, and she was watching a show, but she was just like not moving. I thought she was asleep for like 2 hours because she didn't move, she didn't talk. And then I went and I like peeked over the couch to check on her, and she was just sitting there awake. So I was like, damn, she must not be feeling good. She asked me to snuggle, so I went and I sat with her on the couch, and I went to hold her hand, and it was hot. It burned me, and I was just like, holy Hannah, what the heckaroo? So yeah, just wild, just really random, really random too. The only other symptom she had was on Saturday night, her stomach hurt really bad, but I just assumed it was gas because she was like farting and burping and stuff, and then felt better. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? She was so excited too for my parents' little party that they had. And then when she didn't feel good, she told me, she was like, Mama, the one time I have a party here and I don't feel good, that makes me so sad. Because she wanted to like be social and hang out and dance and all of that. But it did not work out, and that's okay. So I could talk about my labor and delivery, or I could talk about my favorite books or movies. What do we think? I think I should talk about my favorite. I could talk about anything, really. If you have any suggestions for stuff that you want to hear me talk about in these car vlogs, please let me know, because I always want to talk. It's just sometimes I don't know what to say, and I don't know what other people want to hear me talk about. And yeah, I feel like it would be good if you were like, you know what I would really like to hear Brooke talk about, or hear her perspective on, or something like that, then just let me know. I got a rude comment on my last video talking about being vegan that I uploaded, and it's funny because they ended up deleting their comment, and I think that they typed it out in the beginning of the video, and then as they watched it, they were like, oh, I was wrong, and they deleted it. That's what I see in my head, because the video or the comment said, I feel like this video is very judgmental, and you support the slaughterhouse Shein, and so I think it's just really hypocritical, and I can no longer support you. And I was like, judgmental? Like, and I get the Shein thing, but yeah, it was like judgmental. I think the whole video was just about as non-judgmental as you can get, and so I was really surprised, especially because I reiterated many times in the video that I don't judge anyone for anything that they do, and that all I was trying to do was just talk about something that was important to me, just like anybody else could talk about God or religion or the stock market or Bitcoin or like whatever stuff they want to talk about that they care about. Like, I just wanted to have my place to speak and tell somebody how I feel, so that they can maybe understand being vegan a little bit more, and that I don't judge anybody for being vegan, and I have no place to judge because I wasn't for the first 21 years of my life. So yeah, just I thought I was very, very fair and open, and so yeah, and that's what I was going to comment. I was just like, sorry you felt that way, when I tried so hard to explain that I was not being judgmental, that nobody can be perfect, and that's the whole point of like what I'm trying to preach, is that there is no perfect vegan. I have a car with leather seats. I have a used car with leather seats. I have shopped at Shein. I use too many paper towels. There are things that make you not a perfect environmentalist or not a perfect vegan or whatever. And yeah, that's what the whole point of the video was, but that trying your best to make good decisions is all that counts, and that any tiny little step in the positive direction is all that matters. And so that's what I was going to comment, but by the time I went to comment it, the comment had already been deleted. And so I think that they were watching it in the beginning before I made multiple disclaimers about not being judgmental, and then they were like, oh, never mind. They deleted their comment. I could be wrong. They could be watching this right now, typing an angry comment, being like, that's not why I deleted it, bitch. That is not what happened. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I have the right to talk about things that inspire me, talk about things that I believe in, talk about why I believe in them, really things that are huge parts of my life. Like if I'm allowed to talk about being a mother, and if I'm allowed to talk about being a business owner and an entrepreneur and all of that stuff, why should I not be allowed to talk about veganism? You know, I get that it's a polarizing topic, but I'm trying to depolarize it by talking about it, if that makes sense. That's all I'm trying to do. Oh, I think there's a copperoonie in front of me.
Is Daddy here though?
Yeah, that might be a copperoonie. Is that a copperoonie in front of us? No? Oh, it's not. It is not. But there, we'll do that. Just adjusting the air conditioner. My phone's getting pretty hot, so put a little cut there because my phone was getting hot, and I don't want it to shut off and like lose all that footage. I would rather just lose a little bit of footage. So yes, but we can talk about, it's, you know what's funny, books and movies have always been such a huge part of my life, especially like, I mean, I was gonna say especially movies, but books too, but especially movies. I watched so many movies growing up, and I was like the DVD generation, right? So I got DVDs for every Christmas, every birthday, everything, and my family would be like, we need to get her something else, like we can't just get her movies. And I was like, that's all I want. And that is all I wanted, and that's all I wanted to do. We would go drag racing, and I would just spend the entire time in the RV watching my DVDs, and we would go to the cabin. I would spend the entire time in my room watching DVDs, and it just was all I did. It is a copperoonie. It says State Trooper. Buggle. It is a copperoonie.
Wonderful.
Anywhoza, I've always loved movies, and they've been so important to me. My first YouTube video ever was a video about my movies and my DVD collection. And so it's just such an important, big topic for me that I can never feel like I've been requested to do a video on my ASMR channel of my favorite books and movies, but I just feel like I can't until I truly like categorize them, make a list, go through piece by piece, talk about my feelings about each individual movie, like, and why I enjoy it. And like, I can't even pick a favorite movie from each genre, let alone a favorite movie of all time. There's just no way. So it feels like such an important topic to me that I'm just like, I can't just talk about it in a car vlog while I drive, but I suppose I can. I love horror movies. I love them. I love the good ones. I love the bad ones. I love the college essay, like video essay ones. I love horror movies. The badder, the better. I love old horror movies. I love new horror movies. I don't love all old ones or all new ones or all horror movies in general, but I do love them. I like the slasher varieties. I love psychological thrillers. any kind. I'm open to every kind of horror movie. Some of my favorites would be, I do like Scream. I like the old ones like Halloween and Prom Night and It, like the original It. I also like the new It as well, the part 1 and 2. I love, trying to think of horror movies, like, what's that one with Kevin Bacon? I'll think of it. And I love others that aren't like so much a horror movie, but more like a thriller or psychological thriller, like Hide and Seek or The Secret Window. I love movies like that make you, like, at the end, you're just like, what the fuck? No way. I love movies like that. And I love rom-coms. I am a sucker for a good rom-com. I love like 50 First Dates and movies like that. Anything with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, I'm just obsessed. And I look forward to every 10 years them doing a new movie together. It's my favorite thing. So yeah, I love movies like that. 50 First Dates, The Wedding Singer, they definitely come to mind when I think of a rom-com. I do like others though. For some reason I'm just blanking. And then I really love a good period piece. That's kind of like one of my comfort movies is a period piece, specifically with Keira Knightley. She is the best in every period piece. She nails every role. She is perfect. She is woman, she is queen. And yeah, like Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley. I love Anna Karenina. Oh my god, that is just, that role, that movie, that everything, it just rips me apart. And I haven't been able to watch it in probably just about a year, but it's really good. I haven't watched any horror movies this year either. I'm not really, for somebody who used to watch movies every single day, like religiously, it's something that I don't do anymore because my ADHD is so bad and I am such a workaholic that I never just sit and take the time to watch a movie. But I do love like the ones from my childhood, any Mary-Kate and Ashley movie. I love The Challenge. I love New York Minute. I love movies like that. I love the Lizzie McGuire movie, the Cheetah Girls movies, and all of those super like Y2K girl pop fun movies. She's the Man is funny, and like What a Girl Wants, with both of those with Amanda Bynes, are super good. I think that I do like musicals as well. They're not, I wouldn't say that they're my favorite genre, but they are one that I really love. I truly think that some of the best movies ever made are as follows. I think Final Destination is one of the best movies ever made. I think that, I don't know if I thought my earbud just died, but I don't think it did. Maybe it was giving me a warning that it was going to die soon or something. But I think that Final Destination, the original, is one of the best movies ever made. Truly one of the best. I think that The Greatest Showman, the musical with Hugh Jackman, is one of the best movies ever made. 100%. Like, it's just so beautifully done. I think The Chronicles of Narnia is one of the best movies ever made. The entire Harry Potter series is one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of all time. The original Lord of the Rings trilogy.
And watching Junie and Tony.
Nice! Another YouTube channel. One of the greatest ever made. The Princess Diaries, one of the best movies ever made. That's it. It's so good. Ella Enchanted is another one of my favorites. Tuck Everlasting. Oh my God. Tuck Everlasting. One of the greatest movies ever made. Horror movie wise, let's talk about that. I do think Scream was incredibly good. And at the time it was incredibly good as well because Drew Barrymore was in it. And it was like a big role for Drew Barrymore to be in this movie. It was like a big deal. And the way that they did the previews for the movie was like basically as though Drew Barrymore was going to be the star of the film. And spoiler alert, if you've never seen Scream, but she dies within like the first 10 minutes of the movie. And so you go into this movie thinking like, oh, we're going to watch this Drew Barrymore movie. And then immediately she gets killed. And so people are just like, oh my God, like they're just thrown for a loop and they're like, what's going to happen next? And I love that. I love that so much. I'm just going to open my Celsius. I have the grape today. It's my favorite flavor these days. Love the grape. Yeah. I could talk about, if we're talking about like, okay, what is my favorite Star Wars movie? I really, really like episode 4, which is the first one, which is funny, but episode 4 is my favorite. I like all of them though. There's not one that I'm like, oh, I hate this one. And I need to give them a rewatch as well because it's been probably a good 5 years since I've watched those. The Breakfast Club, oh my God, The Breakfast Club is one of the greatest movies ever made, one of my favorites of all time, and Stand By Me is also one of my favorites of all time. We love Titanic, we love The Notebook and all of those things too as well. What is my favorite Harry Potter movie? That's really hard because I think that they're all so magical and so special in their own ways. I think I'm pretty darn stuck to the fact that I think the first one is the best because it introduces you into the world and gets you so invested in it so easily and so beautifully. The magic of seeing it all for the first time is just out of this world. I think it's just so beautifully done. So the first one is probably my favorite, and then the last one as well. The Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, if you want to be like technical, but I think that those are my favorites overall, but that's a really, really hard decision for me to make. It is not an easy thing to say that those are my favorites. I always used to say that The Order of the Phoenix was my least favorite, but then every time I rewatch it, I'm like, why did I think that? Like, why have I ever said that that's my least favorite? I don't know, because I do love it. So, and then sometimes I've said like Prisoner of Azkaban is my least favorite, and then I watch it and again I'm like, but why? So I don't really have a least favorite there. I have a Harry Potter tattoo. I love Harry Potter. My favorite, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, by far. Again, because it introduces the series in such a magical, beautiful, immersive way. I have a lot of movies that I've seen that I don't like. That may surprise you. Maybe not. I don't like Pineapple Express. I've never finished it. I can't get through it. It's just so bad. The Hangover, again, another one that I've never been able to finish because it sucks so much. There are more. And then I really like indie horror movies that are like underground horror movies. And one of them that I really, really love is Mortuary. I don't know if that one's technically an underground horror movie, but Mortuary. So so good. Children of the Corn is so good. The original Children of the Corn. It's really windy, smacking. Then what else? What was I just saying? Children of the Corn is something I mentioned. What was I saying, guys? It Follows was terrible. Sinister was so good, and that's a newer horror movie that I was shook. From the first 5 minutes of the movie, I was just like, what? So, Sinister is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I love the classics because of my dad. The first horror movie I ever watched was Children of the Corn. It was one of those things where me and my dad used to watch like movies and TV shows, like old TV shows, Twilight Zone, The Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island, The Addams Family, The Munsters, things like that, and Scooby-Doo and Little House on the Prairie, old school stuff, right? And I always wanted to watch scary movies with him because he loves scary movies. But it was like one of those things where like he was okay with it, but my mom was like, she can't watch stuff like that. And then he wasn't sure really either if I was old enough. But then one time, I think I was 11. I think I was 11 or 12. And we were just scrolling through DirecTV, and channel 257, Thriller is what that is. Or Chiller is what that channel is called. We were scrolling past that, and Children of the Corn had just started. And he like kind of like looked over at me out of the corner of his eye. I don't even think I was supposed to notice that, but he did. Kind of like, being like, can she handle this? And then he clicked on it so that we were watching it, and we just didn't talk about it. I wasn't going to say anything, like, really, or anything, because I didn't want him to, like, rethink it and then have me not be able to watch it. So I just didn't say anything. He didn't say anything, and we watched it, and I was hooked. From then on, I was obsessed with horror movies. After that, I was like, what else do you got? What else do you got, bro? And we watched, like, Ghost Ship and Halloween 2, Halloween 3. We watched the Freddy Krueger movies, the Saw movies. We watched all of them, and it was so much fun. So much fun. I loved horror movies. It was not one of those things where I was like afraid, because like that was the thing, is I had been watching horror movies for a little while, or I think I had, not horror movies, but just like movies that were not movies I should have been watching, because I had such older siblings and they would watch them and I would like get corrupted and watch them too. And sorry, itchy nose. So I had seen like inappropriate things before, but my dad telling me that it was like okay, that I could watch a horror movie, I was like, all right, it's go time. So yeah, I've always loved horror movies. And I actually am going to have 2 horror movie inspired candles come out in probably August is when I'll do that. Cannot wait. I'll just tell you what they are, because I can, because who's going to be watching this video still at 20 something minutes? And if you are, leave me a red balloon emoji. If you are watching this video, right now, and you're about to hear what I'm going to say, put a red balloon in the comments section below. Excuse my throat, oh my gosh, bubbly schmubbly. But I'm going to have an Pennywise the Clown inspired candle, and I'm also going to have a Children of the Corn inspired candle. I just am. So that's really exciting. I'm so excited for today to get my nails done, to be able to film again. It's been 3 days that I haven't filmed an ASMR video, so I feel like, what is going on with my life? I miss it. It's my coping mechanism. It really is. It's when I start thinking too much or feeling too much, I'm like, oh, let's go film. Oh, let's go film. Oh, let's go film. So, yeah, this is a coping mechanism for me too. If I'm alone in the car and I start to think too much, I'm like, let's film. Let's turn on the camera, talk to my besties about it. It might not be the healthiest coping mechanism, but it sure ain't hurting nobody. No, it's not. It is not hurting nobody. So yeah, that's my little ramble on... Actually, now that I think about it, I think almost all of my... I think all but one of my fall/Halloween candles that I'm releasing are inspired by movies or shows, which is actually pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. My dad's favorite horror movie, or just movie in general, is The Thing. The Thing is one of his favorites. It's a Stephen King one. It's a good movie. It's not, certainly not one of my all-time favorites, but yeah. It is good. Oops. Yes. And when I was that age too, not only did I watch like movies I shouldn't have been watching and stuff, but I also what was I going to say? Oh, I was reading like Goosebumps and all of that as well. So I already loved horror. It was just, and I had seen horror movies before. I had seen it before I saw Children of the Corn and different things like that. But it was the first horror movie I was ever allowed to watch, is the thing. So it was a big deal. But yeah. And what I love about my candle company is that I can take my favorite shows, bless you, that might be super obscure, like nobody's ever heard of them, nobody's ever watched them, or nobody's watched them in 50 years, but I can just be like, you know what, I really like this. I'm gonna make a candle about it, and I do. And it's like, that's really cool to me that I can take things and be inspired by them and just not care what other people think. And I get that from my parents, because they're very different people. They don't care about what anybody else is doing. In fact, if everybody else is doing something, they're probably going to be like anti-doing that thing because they don't want to be like everybody else. So they're very just different. And yeah, like they don't care what anybody thinks about like what they wear or what music they listen to or what hobbies they have. They just are themselves. And I got that from them very much. One of my friends told me yesterday, actually, she sent me a message and she was just like, I love how real you are in all your videos. And it made me so happy because I'm glad that that comes off as what it is. Because like, I feel as though if you are making videos where you literally just sit there and talk for hours, you can't be fake or have a fake persona or a fake, you can't lie about who you are if you're just sitting there talking for hours every day. Because how could you keep up with your own lies? Like the cracks would slip, the cracks would break or whatever, and your real personality would slip out. And there are people who I've seen on the internet who are all about like peace, love, positivity, but then you'll see them like on an Instagram story like calling people names and ranting and everything is negative and everything's complaining, and then they get in their videos online or whatever and they're like, oh yeah, I'm like such a positive person and I'm just I love everybody so much. And I'm like, no, you're not. Like, I've seen it. I've seen the real you, you know? And granted, everybody has bad days and bad moments, and I've called people names in my stories too, I'm sure. And not everybody can be positive all the time, but I mean, like, when everything somebody posts is super negative or super like, oh, you would not believe what just happened to me, or this person just did this to me, or look at what that guy did. Like, just, it's just so negative. And you can see it. If you look, people will show you who they are, right? And so the fact that somebody can look at my videos and be like, that's a real ass bitch, that's a genuine person, makes me happy, because I'm not perfect and I am not always a good person, and I make lots of mistakes, and I'm not a perfect mom and I'm not a perfect anything, but I feel like I'm very honest about that. I feel as though I tell all those stories as much as I can and try to relate to anybody else who is not perfect either, which is all of us. And so if you can tell that I'm a real girl, then that makes us besties. That makes us best friends, which is perfect. Which is just perfect. Wow, there are so many accidents today. On almost every bridge that we've passed, there have been accidents. What is going on? So weird. Yeah, on 3 bridges now that I've gone under, there have been accidents. Oh, and there's something going on here. What is the deal? Ooh, it's okay. Jump scare. It's just a piece of snow. I hope everything's okay and people aren't like jumping off of bridges or anything. Stuff like that stresses me out. Like, if I'm ever, does this happen to you guys? If you're up like super early and you're driving around and then you suddenly realize that you haven't seen a car in like the entire time that you've been driving, and you haven't seen another car, and you're like, here's what my mind does. I'm like, I didn't really check my phone this morning. Is something going on that I don't know about, that like people aren't leaving their houses and they're not supposed to leave their homes and I don't know about it? And there's something going on here that like I'm driving into, and then a car passes me and I'm like, oh, never mind. It's all good. Oops, 70 here. I just adjusted my cruise control to 70, but then I realized it was 70. So I will turn it to 75. 75. Wow, the time is flying by. Holy cannoli artichoke doodle doo. We're already an hour away from home. That is just crazy. Thanks for spending time with me. Thanks for keeping this this girl company. I appreciate that so much. I do. I guess I'll get over here because, oh, are they doing it? I don't know. I can't tell. But yeah, does anybody else feel that way when they're like driving and you don't see any cars? You're like, is there something going on here? Or like there, when I just passed under 3 different bridges far apart from each other, and there were issues at every single bridge, like police and fire trucks and things like that at every single bridge. It's just like, is there some kind of thing going on where like people are jumping off of bridges and like there's some kind of protest or apocalypse or simulation glitch or something? Or is that just me? That's probably just me. That's okay. That's just fine. It is 9:19 a.m. when I am filming this. And we are just still drive-a-rooneying. We're just going. We're going schmoing. So I could talk about movies forever is what I'll end that with. I could literally talk about movies forever, but I have so much to say that it almost makes it hard to say anything. And I really would like to get my thoughts organized and written out and make myself some lists. Why not? I love making lists. So I think I should make some of like the different categories, like horror, rom-com, drama, period piece. Oh, and I forgot to even mention Hallmark movies and like Christmas movies are my other comfort movie. I love them when I'm sick. Okay, and CJ, what's going on the bridge? CJ, what's going on the bridge? This is the fourth one that I've passed by that looks like that. What's going on? It's just weird. Like, why is there an accident on every single bridge? I don't understand what's going on. Very bizarre. Yeah, so one of my comfort movies, like if you want to just make my day and turn it on, it would be The Christmas Switch. It's a Netflix movie, or is it The Princess Switch? Christmas Switch? The Princess Switch. With Vanessa Hudgens. That is one of my favorites. CJ, what's going on? I don't know. There are so many accidents and so many...
No idea. That's bizarre. Maybe the president's coming here. That could
Holy shit. How many cars are there right now? How many cop cars?
60.
60 freaking cop cars. You're gonna see them going by, all with their lights on.
That's a funeral.
A funeral?
That or else it's a government official.
Yeah, they're still going. We've still got cop cars going. Every car that you're seeing like through that mirror or through the window is a cop car until now. And now it's just normal cars. What is going on? Okay, because it did look like all of the bridges that I passed, because there were 4 that I passed by that there were like cops on and like with lights and stuff. It almost looked like they were hanging something or like looking over, so maybe they were like hanging flags or something, or like watching over the traffic from above as well as like the people who are driving here. Super weird. Is Joe Biden in Minnesota today?
What is that?
President? Can you look it up?
No,
Okay.
it's not here.
Well, then who would that be?
It was a hearse. Someone died.
Really? Who? Joe Biden? Like, again, that's just like, who else could that be? Very weird. Conspiracy theory. Well, I'll Google it. I'll give it a Goog and I'll let you know, because that was super bizarre. I didn't say anything for the first 2 bridges, but then the third one, and then the fourth one, I was like, all right, wake up. Something's going on. Wow. Well, rest in peace to whoever died. I don't know who that was, but it must have been somebody very influential and important. But then again, if that was like their funeral, I feel like we would have known that somebody died like days ago, if somebody super important died or something. Not that one person is more important than any other people, but like the governor or something, you know, like, I don't know. But yeah, my comfort movie is The Princess Switch, or The Christmas Switch, whatever it's called. I think it's The Princess Switch with Vanessa Hudgens. Such a good movie. I love the second one too. I hope that they keep making infinite versions of that movie. Very, very good stuff. It's just so comforting. It's a mixture of like a baking challenge show, a princess and the pauper story, and Christmas all at once. So awesome. Update. It is Fallen Firefighter Memorial Day, which explains what all of that was. Ooh, someone's getting pulled over. I mean, it's the perfect time to commit a crime right now because every cop in the state is going the opposite direction. So if I were about to go, say, rob a bank or something, it would be a perfect time. But anywho, Zaruni-doo, I am going to, CJ's awake now, so I'm gonna go. But I've really enjoyed talking to you guys this time. I could talk about my favorite like shows next time, because I know that like falls into the same category as movies and stuff, but it's so much more. There's a lot to say. So yeah, leave me any suggestions of things that you want me to cover and topics that you want me to talk about below, because I love chatting with you. You are such a good friend to keep me company like this. And yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.